Naruto leaving the village instead of Sasuke is a twist you don't really expect, but not one that you find to be impossible. Naruto had every reason to leave the village. More of a reason even than Sasuke. Sasuke left the village for the sake of revenge. Naruto would have left for the sake of himself being abused and neglected. I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again for the sake of the video. Naruto has said that he and Sasuke could have so easily switched places. It could have been Sasuke who stayed in the village and Naruto who left. So let's continue to focus on this world for a little while and see what might have happened if it had been Naruto leaving the village instead of Sasuke. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Sasuke was on his way early in the morning to visit Naruto. To be honest, he felt really bad for him. Sasuke himself had always thought he had it rough, but now he was seeing what was happening to Naruto, and he began to count his blessings. Naruto might not have been forced to watch his friends and family be killed, but he had to live in what seemed like hostile territory every day, looking over his shoulder, getting beaten by the angry villagers. It was no wonder that Naruto was upset. Sasuke would go to the door and knock on it. "Naruto!" He would knock a little louder. "It's me, dork, open the door." There was no response. To be frank, Sasuke was a little nervous by this lack of response. He grabbed the handle and twisted it. Opening up, he announced that he was coming in. Entering the room though, he saw nothing. There was no Naruto, just the empty sheets sprawled across the floor. Fearing the worst, Sasuke activated his Sharingan and began searching for clues. There was a slight disturbance of light behind one of the partitions separating Naruto from another patient, despite there technically not being another patient there to separate him from. The room was all Naruto's, yet the curtain was closed. Sasuke wondered why. He pushed open the curtain to see that there was an open window there. Had Naruto attempted to escape through the window and tried to hide it? Sasuke looked around further. He noticed that there were various footprints angled inward on the window's frame. There were also strange shoe prints on the floor as well. He counted 10 shoes in all, meaning that there were 5 sets of feet angled inward toward Naruto, and 6 pairs of feet were angled toward the window. Has someone captured Naruto? Sasuke wondered. He examined the shoe prints. He noticed that one set was Konoha-style footwear, yet the other set was of a different country. Cross-referencing all the stuff he knew with these new shoe prints, he deduced that it might have been the village hidden in sound. Considering that there were no casualties, it likely meant that the shinobi came in to take him sometime after the final thorough round of the night guard, meaning it was anywhere between 4 and 6 a.m. At least, that's what he hoped. For all he knew, the guard was a slacker, but regardless, he needed to report this. He reported to Kakashi, who would get authorization from Danzo to create a rescue party. This party would be left in the hands of Shikamaru, who chose it for himself. Sasuke, Choji, Kiba, and his ninja Nakamaru, and Neji. Sasuke would head out with the team in the direction of Otogakure. "No doubt they'll take a straight line," Shikamaru said. "It's the quickest way for them to get back to their village, and if they have Naruto as a hostage, they'll likely be trying to get home as quickly as possible." "But if they're trying to get home as fast as possible, who's to say we'll ever catch up with them?" Choji asks. Shikamaru keeps jumping through the trees as he speaks. Considering that they'll be dealing with Naruto, who is likely actively fighting against them, he'll at least slow them down, giving us a chance to make up for all our lost time. And so they continued rushing after the Sound Four. They eventually caught up to them, only to see them carrying a large sealed pot, likely with Naruto inside. Sasuke smirks as he thinks to himself, Naruto must have really given them what for to force them to seal him away like that. Shikamaru attempts to talk down the Sound Four, telling them that if they give up Naruto, they'll let them go free. But communications break down and this leads to a fight. As the Sound Four try to escape, they leave Jirobo behind to defend them and slow down the Naruto recovery squad. Choji volunteers to stay behind and fight Jirobo, giving the others a chance to give chase. Keeping close, Kimimaro looks back. Drat, they're still following us. Kidomaru, slow them down. Kidomaru acknowledges this before turning and peeling off. He forms a bow and lays in wait for them. As the Konoha nin draw closer, he lets fly an arrow. Neji spots the arrow coming in and stops and deflects it. Standing there with his hands pushed forward, Neji prepares to defend himself and his friends. "You guys keep going. I'll handle this guy," Neji says. Shikamaru nods and continues. As they keep going, Kimimaro realizes that he's not going to be able to shake them off with just one shinobi, so he looks to Tayuya as well as to Sakon and Ukon and commands them to put a stop to the chase. Sakon and Ukon stop Kiba and Akamaru from continuing, and Tayuya stops Shikamaru. Shikamaru commands Sasuke to keep going after Kimimaro and to rescue Naruto. Sasuke obliges and manages to catch up with Kimimaro. Kimimaro would turn around and drop the pot containing Naruto to the ground. As he stands there, he prepares to face Sasuke. Sasuke activates his Sharingan, but as he does, suddenly Naruto appears from within the pot. Sasuke sees him and calls out to him. Naruto turns around and looks back for a moment. Sasuke motions him over, but instead of going to Sasuke, he turns around and runs away. This confused Sasuke. Huh? Kimimaro looked to Sasuke. Looks like your friend has made his decision. He wants to go to Orochimaru, and you're going to be hard-pressed to stop him. Sasuke prepares to fight. Suddenly, their fight is interrupted by Rock Lee. Lee comes in and lands and enters a fighting position that favors his right leg over his left. Lee, Sasuke asks, are you even capable of standing, let alone fighting? Lee stood there. I have been training my body for years. Even if injured, I can still perform my duty, he proclaimed. Sasuke shook his head. Don't be an idiot. If you can't even stand, you're no match for this guy. Lee turned around with a reassuring grin. 4 limbs or 2, I can handle this guy no sweat. Now go after Naruto. That's why you're here, is it not? Sasuke couldn't disagree. Just hold him off for a little while, then get the heck out of here, he said. He then ran off. Lee watched him do so. His face turned serious. My life as a shinobi is over. This is my final mission. I will show you the astounding heat generated by my youth as it burns its quickest. Sasuke continued to chase after Naruto until they both stopped at the Valley of the End. Naruto, Sasuke called out. Naruto had been running across the surface of the water and suddenly slowed to a stop. Why are you running away from me, Naruto? Naruto stood there for a moment before looking back. I'm not going back to the leaf. Sasuke was confused by these words. Wait, are you actually trying to join up with Orochimaru? Naruto stood silent for a moment. Sasuke continued. You are. You're leaving Konoha to join Orochimaru. Naruto looked back. Sasuke, there's no way you can understand what I've been going through. You don't have to understand it. You just need to let me go. Understand you? I am you, Sasuke shouted. You think you've gone through it so badly? I walked in on my parents' murder. I never had parents, Naruto shouted. Walk in on your parents being murdered. I bet that's a traumatic memory. Likely one you don't want to have, Naruto said as he kept his face forward, refusing to face Sasuke. I'm sorry you experienced it, but you have other memories beside those. Bittersweet memories, Sasuke said. At least you have that. I only have bitter memories. No parents, no love, nobody to walk home to. There's an old saying, it's better to have loved than lost to have never loved at all. Sasuke scoffed. Whoever said that clearly never lost. Naruto turned back to face him for a moment, tears streaming down his face. Maybe you just never knew what it was like to have nothing. Sasuke stood there for a moment. Me, Sakura, Kakashi-sensei, do you count us as nothing? Do you count us that way, Sasuke? Naruto asked. When all you could talk about was killing your brother. When you were willing to do anything just to destroy him, even at our expense. Did you count us as nothing? When you complained that I would never know what it was like to be you, that I couldn't understand loss, and that despite my best efforts to be your friend, you still counted me as less than Itachi. Was I nothing to you then? Sasuke was speechless. Naruto shook his head. I know I meant something to you, Sasuke. I know. You don't have to debate that with me. Just as you know that you, Sakura, and Kakashi meant the world to me. That's not a question, but the village. Naruto grabbed the front of his jacket over his chest where his heart would be. The village is wrong. They're too hard. I've been beaten multiple times for just being alive, spit on, cursed. I just don't want to go through that anymore. I want somewhere to belong. You belong with us, Naruto. Naruto shook his head. I may belong to Team 7, but I don't belong in Konoha. I can't handle that pain, that abuse. Every day I wake up and wish I hadn't been born. Every day I see the way they look at me, and I realize that I'm unwelcomed in this world. I have no love to fall back on, only hate. I'm bombarded by it day in and day out. All day, every day, and it's starting to take root. I can't stand living in that village anymore. I need a place to belong. And that place is Orochimaru's? Sasuke asked. Naruto thought about it. I'm an outcast, just like him. Maybe it's best that I stay with other outcasts. Don't be absurd, Sasuke said. You're nothing like Orochimaru. He's an outcast because he takes advantage of people to the point of killing them. He'll do the same to you. He'll take advantage of you, study you, use you, and then throw you away. Then where will you be? Back at square one? Naruto asked. You'll be dead, Sasuke told him. Naruto thought about it. So no different than if I had stayed in the village. But maybe if I stay with the other outcasts in Oto, then I can find at least a little camaraderie before the end of my life. Naruto turned and began to walk away. Sasuke clenched his teeth and fists. Damn it, Naruto. Those people back there, Shikamaru, Kiba, Akamaru, Choji, Neji, even Lee. They're all back there fighting, putting their lives on the line to bring you back, and you dare stand there and tell me you have nothing? Don't make me sick. You have friends. But who cares what the village thinks? The village is full of idiots, but not everyone is like that, Naruto. You have a support system, friends, People who care about you. You're just gonna leave that all behind? For someone who promises an easy life but won't deliver on it? Naruto stood there. And how long will it be before you guys abandon me too? In the end, I'm walking this path, and by the end of it, I'll only have as many friends as I did when I started. Am I not your friend, Naruto? Sasuke asked. Yes. Do you really think I'm gonna abandon you? Naruto stood there for a moment. Then come join me. Come with me to Oto. I'm sure Orochimaru can give you all the tools you need to kill Itachi. Sasuke shook his head. I'm not going to Orochimaru. Naruto nodded. See what I'm saying? Even you'll abandon me. You're the one abandoning us, Naruto, Sasuke shouted. Naruto stood there. I can't stomach the village, Sasuke. If we could all live anywhere else, I'd be fine, but I just can't. They treat me like I'm a monster. I'm not, but maybe I should be. Sasuke's eyes widened. You're going mad. Naruto looked down at his hands. Mad? Maybe so. Maybe I've been mad the whole time. He shrugged. I just want to be free of the village, to wipe those looks off of their faces. I won't let you destroy the village, Sasuke said. Naruto thought about it for a moment. Then I guess you'll have to fight me too then. Then I guess you'll just have to fight me then. Sasuke, in anger, activated his Sharingan and ran at Naruto. Naruto! Naruto would suddenly turn around and the two would proceed to trade blows. Sasuke would strike out at Naruto's face and Naruto would catch it. Sasuke would spin and kick Naruto from his open side, which would knock Naruto forward. Naruto would suddenly activate his first curse mark stage in an effort to increase his abilities enough to keep up with Sasuke's reaction time. Naruto would then step to the outside of Sasuke's fist, grip it and bar the wrist with a little twist. He would then use his elbow to force Sasuke's elbow into a state of hyperextension and use it to lead Sasuke around quickly before throwing him down into the water. But if you thought Sasuke was down and out, this is not the case. Like a raging bull, Sasuke came out of that water ready to continue. He put Naruto on the defensive, again using all of the techniques he had learned from watching Lee. Speaking of Lee, if one paid close attention, you could hear the most epic battle in history going down behind them. Too bad you gotta watch Naruto and Sasuke, right? JK. Naruto begins to retreat and starts attempting to climb the waterfall to get away from Sasuke. Due to the gravity pushing the water down, Naruto's ascent was slowed, but it was in fact an ascent, as his curse mark was able to let his feet move fast enough to make headway. Sasuke, on the other hand, relied upon climbing the figure of Madara to the top. They both reached the top of their destination at about the same time. Sasuke would jump down from the head of Madara toward Naruto, throwing shuriken. Naruto, now with a kunai ready, would knock each shuriken out of the air. Sasuke, with his own kunai, would proceed to strike out at Naruto, but Naruto would redirect his momentum and send him straight into the water. Sasuke would come out of the water so fast that his clothes didn't even have enough time to absorb the water. He tried to sweep Naruto's legs and did manage to do so. Naruto went face first into the water while Sasuke swung his foot into the air before smashing it down on Naruto. The strike would send Naruto deeper. Naruto lay there for a moment, looking up at the silhouette of Sasuke. He would suddenly toss two kunai with explosive tags and would will himself back to the surface to continue their battle. He now went on the offensive, trying to pin Sasuke down. Suddenly, one of the tags went off, causing an explosion that sent a geyser of water up into the air. This caught Sasuke's attention as Naruto knew it would. He would kick Sasuke in the face, sending him flying back into position as the second tag went off, putting Sasuke into the air. Sasuke hit the water with the plop. Naruto began to think it was over, but Sasuke emerged. I'm not letting you get away from me, he shouted. Naruto looked back to see Sasuke's Sharingan evolve, acquiring enough Tomoe to advance both eyes to the most mature form of the standard Sharingan, the 3 Tomoe variant. With this, Sasuke's speed seemed to increase quite a bit. Sasuke dashed at Naruto as fast as he could, juicing himself and his kunai with lightning-style chakra that increased his speed. This was not too far removed from the Chidori technique, but not quite as far as that. Sasuke would merely use the electricity for speed and to give his kunai a taser-esque style to it, allowing him to shock Naruto if he got close enough in hopes of frying his nervous system for a little while. Naruto, in a panic, attempted to keep away from it. He started dodging backwards, jumping and somersaulting away. Sasuke was quick after him. He wasn't going to let Naruto get away. Naruto realized that the only way to deal with this was to use proper insulation. Thankfully, most shinobi footwear had rubber soles, which could insulate. He would keep one foot grounded on the water and would proceed to use the other to kick the kunai out of Sasuke's hand. He would then proceed to strike at Sasuke, only for Sasuke to dodge it as he'd seen it coming before Naruto did. It was now Sasuke barring Naruto's arm, just as Naruto had done to Sasuke before. He would then proceed to start kneeing Naruto in the stomach. The first strike landed, knocking the wind from Naruto, but the second strike was caught by Naruto's hand. Naruto proceeded to do a front flip to get out of the armbar, where he then used his momentum to pull Sasuke in his direction, knocking him off the waterfall. Sasuke hit the surface of the water on his feet like a cat. Naruto, from atop the waterfall, would awaken his second stage curse mark. He would then spread his fleshy wings and proceed to fly down at Sasuke as fast as he could. He grabbed Sasuke by the collar and began to drag him along the surface of the water before throwing him into a nearby cliff face. Sasuke, before he even had the chance to recover, found himself on the receiving end of a kick to the stomach. Naruto would pull Sasuke out and would launch him into the air before finishing up with a move inspired by Lee's reverse lotus. Sasuke hit the water and just lay there as if he were unconscious. Naruto walked over and checked to see if he still had a pulse, which of course he did. Naruto then stood and turned around and began to walk away. As he did so, he let his form drop, but as he walked, he heard something. He stopped and looked back to see Sasuke rising back to his knees. Naruto once more reassumed his second stage. Sasuke then spoke. "Don't you turn your back on me." Sasuke then looked up, displaying his newly awakened Mangekyo Sharingan. "I lost a brother once before. I won't lose another." Sasuke stood as a sudden purple aura began to emanate from him. Naruto shook his head. "Sasuke, please, stay down." Sasuke would then rush at Naruto. Naruto would return to the battle with him, but as he did so, he was surprised. His strike was caught on the violet bones of some ethereal skeleton. Sasuke's punch was then aided by the strike of a Susanoo's arm. Naruto was knocked up into the air. Sasuke launched up there and knocked Naruto back to the ground. Naruto struck the ground hard and rolled. On his hands and knees, he knew that he couldn't allow himself to lose here. If he did, he'd be dragged back to the village where they'd only treat him worse. As Sasuke came down, he used the Susanoo to knock Naruto into a stone wall, leaving him stuck in the wall. Sasuke began to inch closer. "Even if I have to break every bone in your body, I'm gonna bring you back to Konoha." Naruto then looked up as a new red aura began to boil around his second stage curse mark form. Naruto looked up, his black sclera now surrounding with the red iris of a fox's eyes. "I won't go back." Naruto pulled free. His wounds began to steam and heal. "You're not gonna take me back." Naruto went on the offensive again. The strength in the strikes and the level of mayhem going on was so much that the water around them began to go up into the air and evaporate. This caused a sudden downpour of rain, a battle so powerful that the valley had not seen since the time of Madara and Hashirama. Sasuke and Naruto were trading blows evenly. Sasuke's incomplete Susanoo, though, was not strong enough to deal with this. Naruto's strikes were so strong that they began to punch through the Susanoo's armored bone cage. Sasuke's Susanoo had a punch that was strong enough to deal damage to Naruto though, threatening to re-crack his ribs. In the end, Naruto was able to draw even more power from the Nine Tails and could reach through the Susanoo to grip Sasuke by the throat. Sasuke suddenly cast a Materasu on Naruto. It began to burn him, but out of fear of killing his friends, he used Kakatsuchi to extinguish the flames. But this proved to be Sasuke's downfall, as the moment he did so, Naruto turned around and delivered a swift and powerful kick to the side of his head. Sasuke rolled along the ground. This time, he was down for the count. Naruto, struggling to catch his breath, began to walk away while he still could, fear mounting that he would turn around and see Sasuke chasing him once again. But Sasuke didn't. Sasuke was out cold. With or without his Mangekyo Sharingan, the outcome was already certain. Sasuke would lose. And so, Naruto continued to stumble away. Various Jonin were sent out to track Shikamaru's team. As they jumped from tree limb to tree limb, they sought their apprentices. At the head of the group was Kakashi and Might Guy. As they moved along the course the others had taken, they began to put the pieces together. They found Choji near the bottle of Jirobo. While he wasn't dead, he was in bad shape. He appeared to be malnourished, which was a sign to Choza that his son had used the pepper pill. After that, they found out that Kidomaru had been defeated and killed by the now critical condition Neji. Neji was still alive, but just barely, his last act being the apparent complete shutdown of Kidomaru's entire chakra pathway system. The rest of the squad wasn't so lucky, however. They found the bodies of Kiba and Akamaru next, as well as Shikamaru, who apparently had died fighting Toyuya. Guy and Kakashi rushed on. "Lee wasn't even supposed to be on this mission," Kakashi said. "Why do you think he went, Guy? He was hardly able to stand on his own." Guy had a face full of seriousness. "It was probably to prove himself." "Prove himself to who?" Kakashi asked. Guy thought about it for a moment. Himself. As they ran, Guy came across it. The rain fell in the open fields. In the distance, 5 bodies lay. Guy walked up and saw the bodies of Toyuya, Sakon, Ukon, and Kimimaru. And at the center of the fight, Lee. Lee was somehow still alive, though only just barely. His body was an ashen mess, his flesh cracked and steaming, his skin a charcoal color. In most cases, others would be dead by now. But the falling rain must have bought Lee just a little more time. Guy knelt down by Lee. Lee, can you hear me?" Lee's head turned ever so slightly to look at Might Guy. "Guy, sensei." Guy shook his head as tears began to travel down his cheeks. "What have you done to yourself, Lee?" "I fulfilled my self-rule." What self-rule? Guy demanded. Lee smiled. Protecting my friends. Guy grit his teeth. How did you even learn the 8th gate of death? You'd only mastered 5 of them. Lee thought about it. His mind was going, but he recalled. It's easy. The only thing you need to do is puncture your chest with your thumb. It doesn't matter if I can control the other 7th, I just need to open the 8th. The easiest one. As he lay there, Lee thought back to the battle. He had stopped Kimimaro from following after Naruto, but the cards were stacked against him. His left arm tucked behind his back, his left leg pulled up behind his right. Lee seemed to be standing in an exotic fighting pose, but this was only to disguise the fact that merely standing on this leg was enough to bring him to tears. I can beat him with no legs, Lee assured himself. He rushed toward Kimimaro, using only his left leg to stabilize his stride as his right leg did the heavy lifting. Lee jumped into a horizontal spin before bringing his foot down on Kimimaro's head. Kimimaro went to his knees as Lee caught himself with his right hand. He then flipped off his hand and came down on his good leg. Kimimaro stood back up as if nothing had happened. He then pulled from his shoulder a large, protruding bone that turned into a long dagger. Lee was surprised. He'd never seen a technique like this. He had to remember what Guy Sensei had taught him about disarming dangerous foes with a weapon. Lee moved in and spun around a thrust of Kimimaro's dagger before grabbing it with his right hand. He then remembered that he would need his left arm to dislodge it, which he hadn't thought about earlier. At this point, he had no choice. With his left hand, he let out a kiai and a punch. The blade flew from Kimimaro as the pain surged through Lee's nervous system like a bolt of lightning. Lee made distance, and as he did, he landed on his right foot, but he tried to play it cool and stoic. Deep down, he was screaming though, as his still incredibly sore arm was boiling in pain. The pain echoed through the very bones of his body like a bell, with nerves deep down sending the most unpleasant signal imaginable. To a point, Lee was nearly begging for a way to dull the pain, but all he could do was stand here and hope that the adrenaline would kick in. Kimimaro stood there for a moment. You favor your right side to a ridiculous degree. You had me open for a retaliatory strike with your left arm, yet you retreated after knocking my blade from my hand. Why is that, I wonder? Kimimaro stood there for a moment and let out a sigh. He then activated the second stage of his curse mark. Lee was surprised by the sudden surge of chakra he was feeling. Had this guy really surpassed even Gaara? He began to wonder if there was much he could do. He needed to end this fast before the guy got the better of him. He began opening his chakra gates until he reached 5. He looked at his hands. This has to be it. If I don't get him here, there's no way I walk out of this alive. He rushed at Kimimaro and then tried to lessen the load on his weaker limbs by supporting himself with his right hand and also kicking with his right, which was awkward and didn't go as he wanted it to. But there was still time to salvage it, so Lee began barraging Kimimaro with attacks. In this, he had to go quickly, and he couldn't think about his limbs. He would need to go as hard as possible regardless of the pain. So he began to strike Kimimaro with all of the attacks that he had, including those that required his left arm and leg. He moved so fast that the pain had little time to catch up. He then proceeded to wrap his bandages around Kimimaro and then plow him into the ground. Kimimaro landed and was left inert for a moment. Lee was suddenly assaulted by the pain in his limbs. It was nearly debilitating. He hit his knees and gasped for breath as the pain slowly became more unbearable as time passed on. He knew that this wasn't enough to kill Kimimaro. If Gaara could survive it, so could this guy. So Lee began to crawl over to the dagger. He gripped it and made his way to the crater. He was going to need to stab Kimimaro in the heart and hope that that was enough. As he got close enough, he lined up the blade and then took a deep breath and quickly raised it to build momentum. But before the blade touched Kimimaro, a flute sounded and Lee was left unable to move. Kimimaro would eventually wake up, see this, and get out of the way to make distance. Lee could see this happening but couldn't move. Toyuya appeared, as did Sakon and Ukon. They had come to rescue their leader. Lee was cast into despair, all of that pain for nothing. Kimimaro rose up and looked down on him, saying the same. But I'll give you this, you did get close to killing me. Closer than any man ever has anyway. But it seems the cards were stacked against you. Toyuya let Lee move again. Kimimaro approached him. Do you have any last words? Lee thought about it for a moment. What would happen if he failed here, and the only option left to him? Yes, I do. Kimimaro then motioned him to continue. Well, what are they? Lee looked up with a devious smile. 8th gate of death. He would then plunge his thumb into his very heart to kickstart the chakra within. Suddenly, an incredible heat came over him. The pain was intense. His senses, his physical traits, all of them, boosted to a degree that was almost unfair. But the pain was immense. It was so bad that it made the pain in his arm and leg seem like nothing. It felt as if every cell was being shredded by chakra. The burning sensation was so hot that it almost felt cold. Suddenly, the skies opened up and a long rain shower began to pour. The 4 remaining members of the Sound Four, a name that no longer made sense to anyone given how many people were in it currently, were shaking. They could feel the chakra rising and were put on their guard. Toyuya went to play her flute again, but Lee offered a swift punch. The air itself was forced in her direction, snapping the flute in half. "How dare you?" she demanded. Lee suddenly rushed toward her when he delivered a swift blow to her abdomen, so strong that his fist broke through one side of her body and out the other. She coughed and gagged as she felt a large portion of her vital organs being shred. The remnants of them were being boiled by the heat and blood emanating from Lee. Lee pulled his hand free from her and let her fall back. The blood on his hand from donutting the kunoichi would slowly begin to contribute to his aura. He would then turn to face Sakon and Ukon. Charging at the two, Lee would smash into them. He would grab the head of Sakon and the head of Ukon and begin to pull, forcing the two of them apart. He would then kick Sakon so hard that he severed him in two. Sakon began to crawl toward Ukon again, hoping to enter his body so he could heal, but Lee walked past Sakon and reached out, gripping Ukon's skull with his hand before crushing it and throwing his remains back through the forest, where it splintered trees and then shattered on impact with a mighty oak. Sakon laid there, waiting his last hope of survival shatter against the wood of an elderly tree. Lee would finish him off with a stomp to the back that completely crushed his ribcage and all within. Lee then turned back to Kimimaro, who was in awe of the brutality. But then again, this was the fabled 8th gate of death. If Kimimaro knew what it did and Lee knew it, then they both knew that Lee didn't have much time, so he had to be quick and concise with his attacks, wasting as little energy as possible while dealing as much damage. And this resulted in a barbaric fighting style that saw even a kind-hearted boy turn into a monster. Kimimaro tried to make distance. He had to get out of the way. He had to let Lee's chakra run out. But before that could happen, Lee entered a ready stance, low to the ground. Kimimaro was confused. Lee then called out the name of the attack. Knight Lee! He rushed forward with such ferocity that his blood became the shape of what appeared to be a dragon. There was a sudden boom as Lee broke the sound barrier. The attack culminated in a kick. Kimimaro knew that this was everything that Lee had. All he had to do was dodge out of the way and Lee would be defeated. Kimimaro readied himself. As the attack came in, Kimimaro attempted to dodge, but found he couldn't. This attack was so strong that it was even bending space and time, creating a sort of gravity well that kept him in place. Lee struck Kimimaro. The kick was so vicious that the entire left side of his body ruptured into a spray of blood. And with that, Lee felt his last good leg snap. As the chakra began to burn out, he slowly collapsed to the ground and fell on his back. He looked up into the sky and felt the rain pelting his face. He was in such agony. His body felt as if it were on fire. This rain was a welcome last treat before death took him, and that's where he was now. Before Might Guy, who was currently wishing he had never taught him a single technique. Lee smiled. It's okay, Sensei. I made myself rule, and I fulfilled it, just as you told me to. Are you proud of me? Guy, holding the dwindling flame of his apprentice in his arms, smiled through his tears and nodded. Yes, Lee, I'm very proud of you. Lee let off a smile as his last breath exited his lungs. Slowly, his body crumpled to ash in the arms of Guy, and all Guy could do was cry. Kakashi was on his way to the Valley of the End. When he reached it, he looked out and saw the form of Sasuke as he lay there in the water. Kakashi rushed down to him and began to pick him up. The boy was alive, but unconscious. Unable to further track Naruto in the weather, Kakashi began to take Sasuke back to Konoha. There, they would admit him to the urgent care unit where he and his friends would all be gathered. After awakening, Sasuke told them everything that happened, and due to this, a reward was put on Naruto's head for bringing him back alive or dead, something that irked Sasuke and Sakura. Might Guy would have Lee interred in the Cemetery of Fallen Heroes, where his headstone would list his name and deliver the epitaph, "The springtime of youth will never fade from your heart, and your memory will never fade from ours." After the burial of Shikamaru, Kiba, and Akamaru, Sasuke would be seen walking away by Sakura. She would rush up to him and stop him. Where are you going? She would ask. Sasuke looked up into the overcast skies and thought, I'm going to get back Naruto, and for that I need to get stronger. Kakashi would walk up to Sasuke. I think I know how to help you with that, he said. Sasuke would turn around and look at him. How? Kakashi would then tell him that he has a few contacts from the past and a couple of people he knows he can rely on in a pinch. There's an old master of Sage Mode here in the village, currently named Jiraiya. If you train with him, you might master his techniques. And if you do that, you should be able to find and rescue Naruto before someone kills him. Sasuke would acknowledge this and turn to face Kakashi. Fine, show me to this Jiraiya. And that's where I plan to call it for the day. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I was slightly tempted just to skip Lee and say he was killed by Kimimaro the same way that I did for Shikamaru, Kiba, and Akamaru, but I felt like I could explore it just a little bit more. especially since Lee would be showing up in bad condition due to Tsunade never reaching the village. That being said, I wanted to see what Lee would do in a situation like this, and considering that he has knowledge of the gates and how absurdly easy it is to open the 8th gate, even to the point that some believe a Hyuga could just force someone with no knowledge of the gates into the Gate of Death, I thought that I just shouldn't miss a chance to show off Knight Lee. I hope it was exactly what you wanted to see. Be sure to leave a comment below and tell us what you thought of the episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when other videos like this are released. And while you wait for those, try out these videos. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. Anyway, until next time, peace out.